Last week on the Al Nicoletti Show. Let's welcome her to the show, Michelle Welch. Michelle, so good to see you.
A negative mindset and a positive mindset can't coexist in the same space. What we speak is what happens. So if I want something, I'm going to work for it. I'm going to get it. And nothing is off limits to me. When I really dug deep into productivity, it allowed me to see myself as a better mother. 30% of entrepreneurs go through anxiety and depression. How can we bring that number down? Productivity.
You couldn't have said it any better, Michelle.
When you commit to valuing your time, you have to value yourself. At the end of the day, nothing works unless you work. The rest is a requirement, not a reward.
Being able to make the changes now is going to change your mindset later. And then that's starting to develop the habits.
How you start is how you finish. You have to know what you don't want to deal with to understand what you are going to deal with. You have to make sure you communicate to people how you want people to respect your business.
Gold right there. Michelle, you're the best. Thank you again so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you dropped so much value for people out there. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Al Nicoletti Show. The show is live. Yes, for those that have been following me on the last week's journey, I've been going all around traveling to, you name it. I mean, I was here in Jacksonville, then I went to Palm Beach, and then I came back, then I went to Kissimmee, and then I'm off to Houston tomorrow. This show is live. It's crazy. What a wild week. And I'm so happy all of you have tuned in, and you're in for a treat tonight with the guest that we have on, because we are going to dive in on land. Land is a hot topic right now that everybody seems to be focusing on. So I can't wait for you all to watch this. Make sure you take out your pen, your pad. I'm taking notes. I think what's so important for people to do is really jot down some thoughts, some ideas. Ask your questions, and you know we love the interactive audience that's out there where you can ask away. You have the guest live where you can ask your questions and he can answer them live, which is perfect. So let's do this, and I'm ready tonight. It's really crazy that this is live right now. I feel like I'm a little sleep, but we're going to make this thing go, and we are going to rock this thing. So let's do this. Hey, everybody. My name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things on Florida real estate, and bringing on people all over the country talking about real estate topics, big concepts, things that are real estate adjacent, things that are like in software and branding and Airbnb and commercial property and land and mindset and mind shift, productivity. I mean, you name it, that can help level up your business and take your business to the next level. That's the kind of people we want to bring on the show. And I think what is so important is having these people come on, explain where they have been in their journey, how they can show you what to do, and how to really break it down. And tonight, you got the land shark, Brent Bowers, who is going to really dissect for you the whole land process. And he's going to really break down things about what's working in this market. Right? This market is so weird, and we can go on a whole rant about that. This market's so weird. It's up in some areas, it's great in some areas, it's off. So we're going to talk about what's working and how you really can make connections with developers, especially if you're buying land or wholesaling out land. And we'll talk about the slowdown of hedge funds and what happened way back in this past year. But how to make yourself in a better market position with your deals and how you can do that. And also, we're going to be doing a demo live. So you want to stay tuned more to the end. Don't miss this. You don't know when it's going to happen, but Brent is going to do a great demo live. This is going to be really cool. And we're going to talk about things that beginners don't know, people that have been in the game for a while don't know, the advanced people don't know, and that only land sharks know. And he's a land shark, and he's got a great coaching program. And I can't say enough amazing things about Brent Bowers. I met Brent in Family Mastermind. I remember it was after one of the days in Family Mastermind. And I really wanted to meet Brent. I finally got connected with Brent. And ever since we did some videos together on YouTube, we went on his podcast, now he's on my podcast, and we constantly collaborate. And I really love this guy and what he brings to the table with his energy, enthusiasm, passion for land, and he wants to help people. And when you hear how he really helps a lot of his students, especially in a real niche with first responders, military, vets, it is fascinating. So I want you all to really stay tuned for this, watch this, and without further ado, let's welcome him to the Al Nicoletti Show. Brent the man, what's happening?
What's going on? I still remember where I first met you, Tampa, Florida. It was great meeting you. You had the same energy you have right now. So this is not just because this is the Al Nicoletti Show. This is just Al Nicoletti all the time in real life. So great to be on.
Yeah, thanks, man. You know it. That's my style, right? Doesn't change. Brent, it's great to see you. I love that you're doing this. I love that you're on. We got to talk about the journey into land and how you got into land, because so many people are trying to think about what should they get into right now in this market. Yep. Should we focus in something else? Should we get into something else? But how did we get here? So tell everybody your journey. Let's hear how you got into real estate.
Yeah, you said it. Focus is the key, and it's really hard for visionaries and entrepreneurs to focus because we see opportunity in everything. And you just have to know that, because it took me many, many years to really kind of focus. The journey was pretty rough. It was rocky. It was a lot of work. There was many nights, sleepless nights, when I'm like, is this going to work? Am I just, peeing in the wind, basically, wind going towards me? And, it started in 2007. I got my real estate license. I bought that first rental property, and then 2008 happened for me. I had given up my lawn service. I started in Okeechobee, Florida, moved to West Palm Beach, Florida, and I was going to hit the road as a real estate investor, real estate agent. And ultimately, my life turned to driving tenants around to look at houses in like Delray Beach and Boca Raton, and I'd have to get there ahead of time and open the windows and bring the Lysol and get the fleas out of there and turn the air conditioners on. And I might have made like $300 in a week, and it got so bad I had to basically tell my landlord, I'm not gonna be able to afford rent this month. And we moved in with my in-laws into a house that was not mine. Went from a business owner to a real estate license, to getting my first rental property a month into being licensed real estate agent, to moving in with my in-laws and couldn't afford rent. So it was humble pie what I was eating. And I threw in the towel in 2008. I quit. You brought a quitter on the show, Al. And I figured the only the only thing that could be easier was just to join the military. And I did. I joined the military in 2009, did 2 combat deployments back to back. My goal was to get into school and have the Army pay for it. And I did. And my second deployment to Afghanistan, my wife was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. Moved in with another man. I'm getting humbled even more at this point. The Army pulls me out of Afghanistan in 2013 and sends me to college now to be an Army officer. So, things were picking up in my career, but my personal life was just a mess. And I got back into real estate. I was house hacking next to the college and met the woman of my dreams. We ended up getting married, 2015, got pregnant. Army moves me across the country again, my 9th move in like almost 6 years. And I started seeing history repeating itself, possibly. In my mind, I was leaving for the 3rd combat deployment in 2016 timeframe. And my mind was thinking, oh my God, this is going to happen to me again. And I had a massive why. And that was to get the heck out of the military, because I could not keep, being away, always training, always deployed, always gone, because that's no way. And I wanted to have a family. I wanted to have a wife, that stuck by my side, and not, miss my kids at this point. So 2016, I was halfway, haphazardly, I should say, wholesaling houses, and I had flipped a couple houses. I had some rental properties, and boy, rental properties, I mean, that was like my forced savings account. There's something that happens every 6 months in rental properties I see. Something always breaks. It's like an apple that hits the ground, and either something's going to eat it or it's going to rot. And who told me that was one of our friends, Tom Kroll. And I just took that from him because that's exactly what was happening with all of my doors. Everything was always rotting and breaking. And I heard a story from a podcast just like this, where a guy was flipping land overnight and doubling his money. And I was like, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and mail the tax delinquent list, a list of people that are behind on their taxes, not paying their taxes. These are people screaming from the rooftops saying, I don't want this property. And I got very specific. I niched down. I got down to the niche, and I mailed them a very specific postcard that said, my name's Brent. I'd like to buy your property at 123 Main Street. If you're interested in an all cash fair price offer, call me or text me. God bless you. And I mailed 687 of those handwritten postcards. They cost me roughly 47 cents each. It was a 3x5. I mailed the tax delinquent list, which I thought was a tax delinquent list. It was actually the county held tax lien list. This land was so inefficient. It was not accessible. It was not buildable. It was landlocked. It was garbage land, junk land that no one wanted. They didn't even pay the tax lien on it. Well, these people, it's like, throwing a worm into a hole that's drying up, a pond that's drying up, and these fish are starving. Well, they got my letter and my phone blew up. I did 2 properties back to back, 2 vacant parcels of land back to back. First one I bought for $285, sold it for $5,000. Second one I bought for $500, sold it for $5,000. Needless to say, it was like crack cocaine, basically. I've never done cocaine, but I hear it's pretty addictive. And I was addicted. I was in. I was like, there's no way it's going to be this easy. And I just kept going and going and going. And here we are now. Haven't looked back.
So was that the lands available list? That's the one that nobody buys at the auction, and that it sits on the county list and nobody wants those, right?
Exactly. That's the stuff no one's buying, even paying the back taxes on it. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just failing forward. Now, eventually I ran through all those deals, and then I finally mailed the tax delinquent list. And then I ran through several of those deals. And then I started mailing the people that were out of state and owned it for multiple years. So yes, it just kept going and going. And before I knew it, I mailed the whole county. And I'm like, okay, it's been like months. Let's do it again.
Fascinating. You know what's really interesting about what you're talking about, how you got into it and you did your trial and error run, right? Is mailers. It seems to be that the land people love direct mail. And you talk to people that go after single family homes and they do skip trace, and then they try cold calling and they finally get a number, and then somehow you get in touch with one of the people that own the property and you sell. But with direct mail and land, it's like there's no house, there's no mailbox. And then you're trying to find these people out of state. So you're trying to find that list for people that are out of state in that mail list. And I just think it's fascinating that I keep hearing this, and it's like the 4th time I've heard it this past week about direct mail. What's so grabbing about direct mail in land investing?
That's a really good question, because I own a lot of land, vacant raw land. And there's one thing that I have my assistant checking, and that's the mail at least once a week. We were checking it 3 times a week, just too much. Entrepreneurs, check your mail only once a week, because I'm only paying bills twice a month per the Profit First system, the 10th and the 25th. So we're checking every week because we get almost 159 tax bills from the county. And the county mails a tax bill. And I mean, I wish they'd send an email to save some paper, but I don't know. I mean, I guess because they're looking out for that tax bill, and some of them aren't even paying it, but they will reply to letters. I was going to show an example today throughout the demo of a signed letter that this woman received in the mailbox and returned it back to me via email. So we're taking direct mail and then they're emailing it back to us or faxing it back. Sometimes they send a picture right to our cell phone.
Interesting. I just think it's so different for land. I hear people doing cold call for single family and maybe even commercial property, and then I hear land works with direct mail. So I think that's a real golden nugget for people out there that want to go after land that seems to be working, right? And then you were talking about the tax the tax list, right? The tax delinquents or the lands available. That seems to work. And I know you're going to go through that in the demo, but Brent, let's talk about this. What's working right now in your business, in your land business, not the coaching side of things, but in the land business right now in this market where hedge funds stop buying or they slow down the buying, and it's been harder to get bigger assignment fees because the market has shifted. What's happening that's working for you right this second?
I will say what's working for me right now is it's been a seller's market for a couple years on land, and we're in a shift right now. Gary Keller wrote a great book called The Shift, and I see that happening right now. It is currently shifting from a seller's market to a buyer's market. So, Florida being one of the most competitive land markets still in this country, sellers or landowners are starting to realize already. And usually, I think the consumer is about 6 months behind, and that's not saying the consumer is dumb. It's saying that they're not in the business and they're not looking at data. They're talking to their next door neighbor. But what I'm seeing right now is sellers are starting to get a little bit, I say more closer down to earth already. I'm already seeing it. So I wouldn't say it's a buyer's market yet in the land business, but I'm starting to see a little bit of flexibility. And I'm excited about that because for a while there, it was getting to where my mail was going up, increasing. At one time, I used to be able to mail 100 letters. And this is back in like 2016 when I first started. 100 letters, I would get a deal. Then it went to 300. Then it went to 400. And I got up to almost 1,200 letters. Now I'm back down to about 738.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm seeing. Less letters
Interesting.
for one deal.
Is there a type of land designation that seems to be hitting off more now, like infill lots or like just giant parcels, giant acres out in the middle of nowhere? Are there certain categories that seem to be more lucrative or eye-opening for developers to come in right now? Maybe they're going to build a whole community, or DR Horton's coming in, or
Yeah,
you
I
know.
mean, DR Horton's backed out of a lot of their deposits, a lot of their contracts. I mean, I think let $34 million worth of deposits go. You can Google that. So I focus on the land that's inside the city and on the outskirts. For a while there, when I first started this, I was doing the land in the middle of nowhere. That stuff works, and you can get like 400% return on your money, 500, sometimes 1,000% return on your money, but usually it's smaller deals. I would rather mail an area, which I'll show an example tonight, at five or 600,000 and get it at 80 cents on the dollar and not quite double my money, but make a quick 20 or 30 grand.
Mm.
So I'm not really mailing the way in the middle of nowhere land currently right now. Have I done it in the past? Absolutely, because I was building up my passive income. So the passive income, the payments really works well on the stuff that's in the middle of nowhere and on just kind of the outskirts of town, like an hour away from like the city or the airport. That stuff is amazing for seller financing. The infill lots and the city stuff you're talking about, that's really the stuff to really build your bank account and get out of debt quick.
Yeah, because people want to build over there, right? So there's like house, infill lot right there, and then house. So you want to get those types of parcels. And I see that all the time, like off some of the main roads. I'm like surprised that there's an empty lot right there. And you're wondering like who owns that? Or maybe the person's holding
Yeah.
on to it because they know that after a long period of time, somebody's going to be really making a big offer, right? So
Yeah. There's a million different reasons. It's crazy the reasons why people hold things. Sometimes they forget about it, believe it or not.
yeah. And what was also interesting that we talked about last week was the fact that you're seeing more seller finance deals as opposed to
Hmm.
just straight transactions, right? The more of the creative financing on land, not houses, on land. Let's
Yeah.
elaborate on that because this gets into more of the advanced strategy of how you can do deals, not just the traditional way, the more creative way, but in this type of market, you're able to educate a seller that they can do a deal with you where they're making more on the long run on a deal like this and do it seller financing.
Yeah, and break up those taxes too over the years rather than get hit right off the bat with a massive tax bill. Now, granted, talk to a CPA or an accountant for the better explanation on that, but you know, I'm seeing it more now than I have in the past couple years of sellers listening to the seller financing play, because it's at that point where it's starting to kind of go down a little bit. And this is totally one of those businesses. I mean, you could do this in a recession, you can do it in a downward economy, you can do it in an upward, you can do it when the real estate's going down or up. Because I'm really only looking at the past 30 days of comps. Sometimes you have to go a little further out, but I get very cautious when I'm going like 3 to 6 months or more than 3 months out, because then I just get a bigger discount, a bigger margin of safety. But what I'm going back to the question though, about what I'm seeing that more often, land, there's always sellers, there's always landowners willing to do a seller financing play because banks do not really finance land. And there's not tons of people walking around with 50, 75, 85,000 cash. So these sellers know this, that they have land. Most banks will not lend on land. That's why there's so much creative financing. That's why you can walk up to someone and say, look, I know you want $50,000. I can give you 20 cash, or I can give you about $40,000, but I'm going to have to pay it over payments. I can't give you the 50. There's no way. I'm not saying it's not worth that. I'm just saying I can't pay that. And that might take a few days for them to digest that pill. And it's probably not the first time they've heard it.
Yeah. It's the education side of it that I've heard is the hardest on creative financing, of
That's
really
right.
getting it to a seller.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have a few phone calls, and sometimes like FaceTime is amazing. Getting these sellers on a Zoom is amazing. Where most people fall short is they only, and my acquisition manager Jen, like she's a rock star. Like she tells me, it's like, look, this is not magic, Brent. It's just following up. I don't take it personal when they don't answer my phone 6 days in a row. But that seventh or eighth follow up is just gold. But here's where most people drop the ball on follow up is, why does it have to be a phone call? Why can't it be a text message? Why can't it be an email saying, hey, I know you were bringing, your whatever. Bucky was one of our sellers' dog's name. I know Bucky's going to the vet today to get his teeth cleaned. How did they look? Does Bucky's breath smell better? Like stupid little things like that. It's not, hey, just following up about your land you have for sale. No, hey, how's Bucky? And then also we got the power of this phone right here. Like send them a video. Like, hey, just wanted to check on Bucky. Here's Josie. She's over here. Her breath really stinks. She needs to go to the groomer too. Like actually leaving a video and being different, because they're not going to forget you if you act a little goofy and just have fun with it. And some of these people are like, they're just like tough, like cookies to crack. Just give them a good time,
Get
because
more
why
personal.
not brighten their day? More personal.
Yeah. Yeah. Get more personal. And I love that feedback for people, right? Because a lot of times the acquisition teams are trained to just, get right down to it, find out what's going on, what's the follow-up, are they interested, has their offer changed, has the position changed? And I like your approach with I think you talked about that at family one time about the video, or doing something, or maybe it was on the podcast, doing like just a video about, hey, just want to touch base with you on a more personal level. And so it just kind of feeds a little bit differently than it would just on a phone call, right? Or a Zoom. I'm sure that's more time consuming too, to do a Zoom call and try to find out like how things are going. But at the same time, if that means it's getting the deal, or it's really luring everybody in together to get the transaction done, it's going to be worth the time. And that's great. Brent, we're going to get to the demo, because I know people are going to be excited to see this demo. Like we're going to do he's going to do a presentation live on finding the land, what to look for, and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be really, really cool. So don't go anywhere. Talk to us about, especially in this market, building relationships with developers, building relationships with the buyers. What are some strategies that you'd use now to help really build those relationships, or find where they are, so that you can continue scaling your wholesale business without worrying about, I got to keep this land. I want to be able to dispo it out.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the easiest, fastest way that I'm doing it right now is I use batch leads, Brent. I just go to batch leads and basically I just pull that area that my land is in or the land that I just got under contract in, and I pull a list of cash buyers who has purchased cash in the last 12 months. And also, who are the LLCs that have purchased cash? And what's amazing about Batch is they will pull, the phone numbers for LLCs and LLPs. Um, and that's who I'm looking for. I'm not looking for, Al Nicoletti that just purchased one lot cash. You might have just had some extra cash and you put it into a lot. I'm looking for the guy that's purchased several in the last 12 months, or at least one in an LLC. And I'm going to call that guy and say, hey, I got 123 Main Street. It's a half-acre lot. It's already cleared. Blah blah blah. There's power and water on both sides. What are you looking for? I want to see if I can serve you in that. And or maybe just call. Sometimes the better conversation sometimes is, hey, I saw you purchase 123 Main Street. I come across land deals all the time. Is it okay if I reach out to you next time I have one? Yeah, okay. Well, do you want me to text it to you? You want me to email it to you? You want me to send you a flyer? Like, what's the best for you? And build that relationship. And if they're buying enough, they're going to tell you exactly what they want, exactly where they need to be. I need a half acre on 3rd Street. I don't want 9th Street. That's well water. I don't want those. Okay, great. What are you paying for the 3rd Street? I already know. I can see what they're paying. Yeah, I'd pay anywhere from 50 to 75,000. All right. So 50 to 75,000, I confirm that. And then guess what? I can send land offer letters to everyone on 3rd Street for 45,000 and sell it to my buyer all day long for 50,000. Or for maybe better yet, send it for 35,000 and send it to your land buyer for 50,000. Make $15,000 per deal.
That's really great advice, right? You're finding the frequency of the buyer in that type of market and that type of locale. And then you also know where you want to buy. So you're finding the buyers that are in that position as well. So you're just really fine-tuning your pool of people that are just constantly going after that area. And then of course, like you said, you're locking the deals up so you can make your assignment fee and it's great. And then the buyer's winning and you're winning as well. So that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And it's all about building a list of hungry, salivating cash buyers because every time we get a deal, we're also like, if that buyer doesn't buy this deal, he's going to hear about the next one. We're also going to put signs out. So we're going to build even more names and numbers. And we're going to put it on Facebook and Craigslist and Facebook buy sell groups because, guess what? Retail buyers, the onesie twosie buyers, they pay a lot more than the LLC does.
Right. Interesting. See, this is why it really takes somebody like Brent to be in this all the time to see these little things that can help. And I'm sure the beginners may not know, maybe the more advanced people know this kind of stuff, but this is where scaling your business comes into play, right? It's not just doing your direct mail, but actually strategically focusing in on that area. So that's really awesome that you talked about that. We had a couple great questions, and Nathan, we're going to get to your question in Chris as well. I think the land people are definitely watching. They're watching. And one thing I talked about in the beginning is we're going to make sure we talk about something that everybody doesn't know and only a land shark knows. But Nathan says, I get offers all the time for several single buildable lots in Springfield and surrounding area. How could I get closer to retail price?
Yeah, I mean, the people that are sending you offers, they are probably land sharks, or land investors. Put that thing on the MLS, or if it's got an address, put it on Zillow. If you don't want to list it through a realtor, put it on Zillow. If it doesn't have an address, then call the city and see how to apply for a physical mailing address so you can put it on Zillow. But that's probably the best way. And also, here's a way I get full retail for all the land I sell. Well, not all of it. I don't seller finance all the land I sell, but it's seller financing. I figure out what it's selling for on Zillow and Redfin, and I put it out there. I put signs out there. I put it on the MLS with a realtor, a land specialist realtor, by the way. You want to go through Redfin and Zillow and see who's selling all the land around you. And if you're not seeing a pattern, then figure out who's listing all of it, because eventually they're going to be selling it. You want to list it with the land specialist realtor, but offer seller financing, seller will financing, seller will finance, seller finance. Put that all over the public and the broker remarks, as well as your sign. 3 acres, will finance, phone number.
Interesting. You talked about land realtor specialists, like, realtors that specialize in land. Where did you find that again? How can you find
So
those?
when I'm showing the demo in a little bit, I'm
Okay.
going to show you how I see the solds. But once you click on those solds, if it's on Zillow, it's like the yellow dots. If it's on Redfin, you're clicking on all the solds, and you'll scroll down and you're going to see who it's listed by and who it was bought by. And if you don't see a listed by and a bought by, that means it traded off market. It traded not on the MLS or with a realtor. But you're going to see most of that land has a listed by agent and a bought by agent. Just copy and paste that, put it on a Word doc, and eventually you're going to see a pattern. Bill Brown's the one selling all the land out here.
Yeah, really cool. That's Nathan, that'll help you a lot right there. And then what Brent was talking about, seller financing. Chris said, curious, do you guys use all the different offer types, blinds or neutral, etc.?
I use blind offers, and basically what blind offer is I send a specific offer, and I can show an example of that for the exact amount that I'm willing to pay. Now, I do have a form of a neutral offer, and that's that handwritten postcard I talked about at the very beginning. That's my neutral letter. It's not an offer, but my blind offer is my letter with the specific offer, and then the neutral is my postcard.
Cool. Let's do this demo, because I think there's so many things that Brent wants to show us, right, Brent? You really, there's things that it's hard to say and verbalize, but when you start showing and you can see these things on a map, it's going to help so much. So,
Yeah.
yeah, let's Mike, let's figure out how he's going to share screen. I think this
Yeah, I
should
can
be
do it right here. I already
fantastic.
figured it out.
Yeah.
How much time do I have? Where am I at on
You're
time? I need to know how
good.
fast I got to do this.
Under 30.
Under 30. All right. That's pretty fast. All right. So let's go. All right. So I don't say this to brag, but first thing I want to show is, let's see if I can share my entire screen.
Yeah, he's going to share the
All
entire
right.
screen.
So I don't say this to brag, but I just want to show how many times I've been paid today already. This is from my seller finance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One of these failed. This one failed. So let me just put that out there. Sometimes people's payments fail, and my program already, it collects a late fee. So let's see all right. So this many times today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 10 times already today. Monday, Friday. So this is from land that we've seller financed, and it's really cool getting paid multiple times a day for land. Another kind of close look up at it. Let me see if I can share my screen again. This is how we track all of it through a program called GeekPay. If you want a free month of this, just go to easynotetracking.com. It's my affiliate link to get a free 30-day trial to this. But these are some of the notes that we have. Some are 4%, 5%, 9%, 12%, 11% interest. It shows if they're late, if they're pending, they're in grace period, and a couple late. I'm seeing more lates lately than I have in the past several years. Good standing. I've got about 74 of these notes. Let's move on to how I pick a market.
Wait, Brent.
Al, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it. Brent, why do you think that there's more defaults lately? Is it just because of the economy right now?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'm just assuming it's the economy. One of these buyers, you saw like all those lates. It was 4. It was actually a guy that purchased 4 parcels from me that just like disappeared on me all of a
Mm.
sudden. So I'm seeing more lates in these past 2 months than we have in years, and I just assume it's the economy.
Mm.
Once they're late for 60 days, we can technically take the land back. However, I don't want to, because there's no shortage of land out there. I'd rather do a loan modification for these buyers and get them back on track, because most of the time we're profitable already on this land, and it's a shame to take it from somebody. All right. So this is how I find a market that has land in demand. I'm not going to go to a land market that the land's not in demand. There's no one buying it. Ultimately, I want to see demand, because I don't want to go in and get something under contract and not be able to sell it. So let me just give you an example. Can you see my screen here?
Oh, yep, you're good. Everybody can see it. If you can see it, drop a comment. If you can't see it, let us know, and we'll make sure we can figure out how to do that.
Yeah, cool. Well, I just picked Lehigh Acres. This is an area I have mailed this once or twice. I'm not really big in this area because I'm kind of going for the higher price. But you got to start somewhere. I mentioned that first parcel of land I bought was $285. I flipped it to a realtor for $5,000. The second parcel was $500. And then I sold that one for $5,000, but I sold it on seller financing. I got $500 down and $400 a month. And this guy, he was a mechanic, and he would bring me cash to my front doorstep once a month. But here is Redfin. You can use Zillow, whatever you prefer. I want to go to the sold. So I'm going to click on filter. I'm going to go to sold, and then I'm going to hit land. And then really, I just want to see what's going on in the last 7 days in this market. And this is Lehigh Acres, Florida. I'm going to go ahead and X that out. And if you remember, a hurricane smashed this area several months ago. Well, here's what's really crazy. This is the last 7 days, and 35 parcels of land have sold. This is a pretty high demand area, and it's really easy to comp because that one sold for $12,500. This one sold for $13,500. This one sold for $14,000, $14,000. This $745,000, that's probably a house. I have no clue why they have that in there. But this is pretty homogenous, and you can comp this fairly easily. And these are all 10,000 square foot lots. So if I was going for a seller financing play, I would probably start mailing these about 30 cents on the dollar. If I just wanted to flip for fast cash, I'd probably mail them about 50 cents on the dollar. I'm going to show you another area that I just mailed just yesterday, and I'm going to mail the second portion today. So let's see.
And Brent, just so you know, Lehigh Acres is just a really hot area. I mean, for land like Cape Coral, that whole area down there is just hot.
Oh, you mentioned Cape Coral. Let's just show that because
that's another one.
Huge. Look at that. 7 days. 7 days in Cape Coral right there. And take this out. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe there's another area that's even hotter.
Northport. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. We'll look all over the place. But a little area I just took a liking to. And I'm not trying to send thousands and thousands of letters a week. So Westlake, nothing's happened in the last 7 days. But I was scrolling over last night. I found the market to mail, and this was Westlake. So what I did was I went to the past 6 months, and there's a little cluster. I'm not really trying to go 6 months out for comps right now. I'm really trying to stay within about 3 months because I think the market is going down, but that gives me some idea of what's going on in the past 3 months. Let's see if anything's sold in the last 30 days. Okay, one. So not the best area, but the reason why I chose this area is because I'm looking for the higher price lots because I don't have to get this lot at 50 cents on the dollar. I can get it at 80 cents on the dollar and make $100,000. So it's really, right now I'm focusing on less deals, higher profit ranges, higher profit margins. So let's scroll in a little bit here and I'll show you the area I already mailed last night. And it was basically this right here. I'm kind of making a circle with my hand. And I found out by looking at the comps, I'm looking at the past 3 months of comps, and I took all of these comps. I clicked on every single one, and I wrote down the actual price that it sold for and the square foot. So this one sold for $558,700, and there's 5,484 square foot. So I made a little spreadsheet of that. So here it is, and there's the 3 that sold for the price. Here's the square foot. And what I did was I just took the average price by scrolling, selecting all of these, and then going to the bottom of that Excel, and it's telling me that the average price is $539,000 for this lot. Well, I put that right over here, $539,000, and then I highlight the 3 that sold, and now actually more sold, but I am microing these down. If you notice, I microed that area around the water, just that very small area, and then I'm microing it down to, okay, 5,400 square foot to about 6,000 square foot. And then the other 2 that sold, one was 7,500 square foot. The other one was 7,300 square foot in that area. Well, it's amazing when you take this average price divided by the average square foot, you see that they're trading for about $95 a square foot. And how did I get that? If anybody If I lose anybody, please stop me. I can slow down and I can break down this crazy math. But I took that from what's selling for in the square foot. So going back to that Excel, where'd it go? Here we go. All right, going back to that Excel, $95 a square foot. Well, when you get to the 7,000 square foot, I took the average price again, right here, and then the average square foot, and the average price per square foot is $79 a square foot. Well, that's a change. That's a huge change in the numbers. So yesterday's mailing, I took the average price minus what I wanted to make for profit, 20 grand minimum. I also built in for a realtor 6%. And then I also figured in my buyer's going to want a discount because when I put this on the MLS, when I sell this piece of land, I want this thing to be the lowest price parcel of land. And here's what's really cool about this area. These are what's sold. Let me show you what's for sale right now. Nothing. So we got a supply demand issue. Only demand, no supply. So I've got a very specific way that I can put one of these parcels of land on the MLS without even purchasing it. So going back to my Excel, I build in my buyer's discount. I put in closing costs. That might be a little low. And I took $539, subtracted all this, and it gave me an offer amount of $431,000. So I took 431 divided by 539, and that told me that's about 80 cents on the dollar. So I went back up to $95 and multiplied it by 80 cents or 80%, and that gave me an offer price of $76 a square foot. Well, did the same thing with the 7,000 square foot parcels that I'm going to mail tonight right in front of you. Same average price minus my profit, realtor fee, buyer discount. And that told me I need to offer about $63 per square foot. And they're selling for $79 a square foot. That adds up when you got about 7,000 square foot. So now I'm going to go and pull a list of this area of 6,000 square foot to 8,000 square foot. So how do I pull that list? I go to something called PropStream. If you want a 7-day free trial and you can pull 50 records, go to the landsharkslist.com. I'm going to go to Westlake, Florida. And then this is that area I was just at. So I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to use the little draw feature. And Al, tell me if I'm going too fast or tell me if I need to speed up.
You're good. I think this is interesting because I don't do this. It's like finding different ways you can get into this niche.
There you go. I'm going to use the draw feature. So there's a little small. I don't get too many of them. All right. And search. All right. There's 132 properties, 132 parcels of land in this little area I drew. Now I'm going to go to the filter. Let me make this a little bigger. Filter. And then I'm going to go to property characteristics. And then I'm going to select vacant land. And then I'm also going to select 6,000 square foot, 8,000 square foot. And this is going to be a very small number. I don't usually mail this small of list, but I wanted to finish mailing this because I mailed the 40 last night. So now I'm going to mail the remaining 14 parcels at the 7,000 square foot price. So I already pulled this list. You just select it and then you hit add to list. But it's already right here. I did this ahead of time because I was trying to save a little time. It's at the bottom here, Westlake, 6,000 to 8,000 square foot. And I saved that. Let me just minimize this.
And that's for your mailers, right? Like you
Yes.
you found them, you like almost like a copy and paste, you put it in your CRM and then you're going to mail it out.
Exactly. That's the next step. I'm going to mail these right now. So this is the list I pulled, and I made 2 little adjustments to this this Excel spreadsheet. So lot size, it came out with this. It's really cool because you pull this from PropStream. It gives you the actual lot size square foot. So I added this row and this row or column. I don't know if it's called column or row, but I added price per square foot. Remember, $63.77 that I got that from my Excel right here. $63.77 is what I'm going to offer. And it's going to be multiplied by the actual square foot. So I just did the equal sign, this times this, and it gave me $406,000. So this person is going to receive an offer for $406,000 on their 7,000 square foot parcel. And if they sign this thing and send it back, I'm going to make a pretty good chunk of change. So let's go ahead to my CRM.
It's
I
still
use
worth it.
Pebble. What's that?
It's still worth it for that kind of price for you because you already know what the calculation is on the back end. You know you're going to get a buyer that's going to pay more than that.
Exactly, because I'm going to list this thing for, let me pull up my calculator. So it's worth, the average is about $595 what this should sell for, 595,850. I'm going to list it for roughly minus 59,000 because I'm going to give them a 10% discount. I'm going to list it for 536. So here's what's really cool. I already showed there's none for sale in this area, but if there's two for sale and I'm the least expensive, it's land. Like this one has a pool, this one doesn't. This one has a hot tub, this one doesn't. No, it's vacant raw land. This one's got grass. This one has grass too. Yeah, let's buy the cheaper one. So that's how it works. It's that simple.
Hey, so Brent, Jill, you're still there, right? You can comment. I know you're in the comment section. So Jill said, will this be available to watch again? It's so informative, but going so fast. I mean, there's a lot to cover. I totally agree. And I wish Brent could do like a whole, he has a whole thing on this. I mean, his coaching program and the course and everything, but I wish we had time to go through all of this. And maybe Brent, maybe we'll just focus on like the biggest things that they really have to know so we can really dive a little deeper on it. And we'll go like 110. But before we even go further too, Teresa, you're watching. She said, Brent, are you primarily doing lease purchase for your seller financing?
For my seller financing, I will do it two ways. I'll do a contract for deed if they buy it through me and they don't want to go through a title company. If I list it with a real estate agent and we offer seller financing, then I just hold a deed of trust and a promissory note. Where basically I'm the bank, and that deed will transfer over, but I do require a much larger down payment that way. If they come directly to my office, they, say you find that the land that I talked about that we have in the middle of nowhere that we seller finance, I have quite a bit of that left. I bought a ton of it. I do a contract for deed, and the deed does not transfer until they fully pay it off.
You know what's fascinating about what you showed, in my perspective? It's just finding the hot markets, right? You went to Lee County, you went to Cape Coral, hot, but then you went to that random county and there's nothing there. And I think a lot of people would shy away from going to that random county because if nothing's being listed, buyers aren't buying there. Even if you lock up a contract, are you going to be able to dispo it out, right? As opposed to going to the hot markets. So I think by doing that,
I do a mixture of both.
It's so, yeah, like you were saying, like it depends on the price point, right? It depends on the price point that you're going after. Does the deal make sense? So I think that's interesting. Okay, so let's keep it rolling on the demo because I think this is fascinating. If you all love this, drop a comment. We want to hear thoughts and keep asking questions, Teresa. We love it. And Jill, if you got time, stay tuned. We're not going anywhere yet. But Brent, do you just so she knows? Are there ways, or are you doing videos on explaining this?
Yeah, you know what? I'll do something on my TikTok and I'll break it down on TikTok. I also have my YouTube channel. I don't really talk about this as much on my YouTube channel. I took a little pause from that, Al. So I will break it down on my TikTok channel. I'm going to do that next for my next video.
Wow, TikTok. You can do it that quickly?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like 3 minutes, so it's going to kind of, pigeonhole me into that. But I also, this is not, this is not a plug for my course, but I break this down. I mean, it takes me almost 25 minutes just to break down what I'm about to show you in 3 minutes in the course. But I get it. Like we're on a time crunch here. So I apologize. I'm going so fast. I just know that we have to be less than an hour.
Yeah, you're good. Keep it rolling. Let's go.
All right. I already told you I mailed this. It was actually 2 days ago. It seemed like yesterday. So it was January 30th, the 4 to 6,000. So now I'm going to do Westlake 6 to 8K, 8,000. Save it. I'm going to pull that. So it's Palm Beach County. It's Donald Trump. All right. Let's pull that list. Desktop. Vacant land, Palm Beach County, Westlake, and then 6 to 8,000. Upload. All right, so this is where it asks me what I pulled it from. I pulled it from PropStream. There's only one little change I have to do right here, and I need to add my offer price. Offer price, remember that $460. I'm going to import the list. It's only 14. I like the mail a lot more than this, but I'm going to keep moving to the east, and I'm going to mail this whole entire area. All right, so activate campaign. I'm going to do my land offer letter. LOL. I'm going to send 100 a day. Doesn't matter. I do first class mail. I want that thing to keep forwarding until it finds it. Remember, I told you I moved like 9 times in a very short amount of time. I want to do double window. I want to verify that's my mailing address. And sounds good. Looks good. We're going to show you a preview of what it looks like. I'm sending a purchase agreement. My title company is ready for this agreement. All right, so there's my phone number, there's my fax, there's my email, there's my mailing address, my return address. It says I'm a buyer, and I just want to make sure it gave the right offer. There we go, 406 grand. They're going to sign it. They're going to put their phone number, their email, the date, and I'm not signing this because I don't want to be held by this, because just like today, I actually made it too high of an offer on a piece of land, and I realized there was no road going to it. So I said, hey, what's the least you'll take? Because I really messed up on this. Well, it was for $34,000 in Indian River County. She replied back, and I can show you a copy of the email right here. Well, I don't think we have time for that, but she replied back, 15,000 if you buy it quick. So I'm waiting on my realtor to tell me if we can sell it for 15,000. So I verified that these look good. Activate. They're mailed. So that's how we send the purchase agreements and the letters. Going back to showing you what these look like when they come back signed. Here's one from today. Let's see if I can pull it up really
And
quick.
Brent, just a question on that property that had no road to it. An easement didn't make any sense. Like trying to get
it actually does have it does have a road. It was just never cut in. The county does have it as a road. It just wasn't cut in. So you would have to plow down some trees. So it's not really landlocked. What I'm going to do, there's a house on both sides of it. I'm going to go knock on those people's doors and see if they want to buy it.
Yeah.
And here's what it looks
like. By the way, you're showing Pebble. Is it a special thing for land or just property in general? Like, is it a CRM that helps with integration for direct mail and contracts? And then all of a sudden, like when you get the contract back, it notifies the title company? Because I've never seen that before.
No, it doesn't notify the title company. I send this purchase agreement. This is the one I got signed back today for $34,000. She lowered the price down to $15,000 by just asking one little sentence in less than 12 hours. But I send the title company this purchase agreement. And what's really cool is when these people call in, I just go and I could put their information into my leads, my seller deals, and just search them. And it will pull up. It'll actually pull up the name and how many times I mailed these people, the prices I mailed them at. It's just absolutely amazing. And Pebble is more for land investors.
Yeah, I think this is really cool. I hope people are learning and watching this right now, because I mean, you can learn something just by doing all these integrations. One thing that I was thinking about, and I wrote this down. Let's just say you pick up a lot of land. This has happened a couple times. Wetlands, environmental, right? The person that owns it wants to sell it, but then you got to do a perk test, or you got to do a wetland test, or you got to run it by the EPA, or I had a probate one time. This was a crazy story. I had a probate one time, and it was 4 probates because it went back to like the grandfather, and it was an easy 4 probates. To you, Brent, you're like, okay, what's 4 probates? But it was like one down to the other, and then there were like 6 kids, right? In my world, it was easy, right? So I ran the numbers. It made sense for everybody. And then they had to wait for an environmental test to come back. And then all of a sudden, they had a green light. We filed all 4 probates. The very next day, they got a letter from the EPA that said it's like a portion of it was wetlands. So like, what do you do in your world when you get that kind of situation? Are you working with EPA? Are you working with the county to figure out how to maneuver around a wetland or environmental issue? Because those seem to be deal killers when it comes to land.
Yeah, I'm not maneuvering around those. If there's an environmental issue, People ask me all the time, what land do you not buy? Environmental issue land. Now, if if it's got any issues whatsoever, like we back away from it. Now, wetlands, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Like, because you can see FEMA flood maps. You can do what's called a wetland study, an engineer study for like $2,500. I took 27 acres out in Florida and subdivided it into 3 9-acre parcels, and like 12% of it was wetlands. We just weren't allowed to touch the ditches. When you have 9 acres and 12% of the whole 27 acres is wetlands, not a big deal. Like, there's certain areas you just can't touch. And, then you have gopher turtles. You got to be very careful about those in Florida. You want to make sure that if you know about it, like, I would still buy and sell a piece of land with wetland and gopher turtles, but I would get a way bigger discount from the seller. Now, environmental issues, I don't care what the discount is, because that can come back to haunt you. Commercial land, you really want to run environmental studies, and sometimes it holds things up. Like, we're doing 14 acres in Tennessee, and we've got it at a smoking hot price, like 1/3 the value. But if it doesn't pass that percolation test, and for anybody that's wondering what a percolation test is, I love coffee. Like, the water has to go through the coffee grounds and the filter. That's percolating. And if you can't percolate it, if it's like all rock, the water just doesn't percolate. It doesn't drain. So you can't have a septic system. So that land will be absolutely worthless if we can't get a septic system, except for hunting and recreation. So I say it's worthless to a builder, but it's very valuable to that person that wants hunting land on that 14 acres.
Interesting. And you talked about like the birds and the gophers, and I've heard about like the bluebirds, and like there's certain things, and like you got to be careful, right? In Lehigh Acres, I've heard things like one land may have a tortoise or a turtle that's endangered, and then the next lot of land has something else. So like you never you never just go into that deal without doing your due diligence to find out what's going on there, right? So those are a lot of little things that you have to pick up on, and that takes experience in getting into.
Yeah, unfortunately, I learned a lot of that due diligence the hard way. I bought land with craters in the ground, and land that was on treasurer's deed that had clouds on the title for 9 years, little things like that. Always go and look at the land. If you are not near the land, then send a land specialist realtor, one that's very familiar with that area, the one that's selling all the land in that area, and ask, what am I looking out for? We're buying 18 lots in Hawaii right now. Well, I'm like, okay, do you guys have gopher turtles? Do you have some type of special parrot or blah, blah, blah? She's like, no, like, she did talk about this little, this bird, but she's like, I've never seen that stop anybody from building. One thing they had was lava out there. So I'm talking to the realtor that sells most of the land on the big island of Hawaii right now, because I'm not there. So we're also getting it at 20 cents on the dollar. So that builds in a huge margin of safety. However, there's always going to be get it under contract and figure out the rest. You can always extend your contract. You can really just get the longest inspection period you can possibly get. And when people are selling land, they're usually not in a massive rush.
Yeah, and another thing comes to mind with land. I had Carl Spielvogel on my show, and he talked about doing this in North Carolina, where he'll buy like 5 acres of land. He'll find some really like messed up parcel that either nobody wants or it's in a weird spot, and it's 5 acres and they don't know what to do with it. He'll buy it and then he'll subdivide it. So they'll go to the county, or they'll figure out either how to rezone it, right? So what are some things and strategies you can talk about where you get that kind of parcel, and maybe it's zoned for mixed use, or it's zoned for commercial or residential, and you need to either rezone it or get some kind of variance on the property to do something there. And at the same time, if you want to subdivide it, get into that kind of world.
Yeah, I do not really deal in that. I've done a couple subdivides and that's it. And when I say a couple, I mean two. I'm not the expert on subdivides. I don't change zoning. There is one parcel that I own that we're changing the zoning on. I haven't done it yet successfully. We have a commercial property changing it down to residential zoning for a couple of reasons. And maybe we won't change it because now we just figured it out. It's an SBA zone, a hub zone in Colorado Springs. I got 3 acres in Colorado Springs if anybody wants it. But that's not my specialty. I really don't change the zoning. I don't touch the land. I don't put culverts on it. I don't mow it. I really want to keep it. I want to be in and out, or buy it and sell or finance it and let someone else put their dream on it.
Yeah. I just know that option's available for people that,
Yeah.
they'll split it and they'll have 10 lots. And then a developer wants to come and it's like a little house community right there, right? So
yeah, it's huge. It's huge money. And I'm probably leaving so much money on the table. But I just know I stick to my lane. Entrepreneurs, we see so many objects and so many like shiny things. And it's like, oh man, we could do that too. And anytime I do that, I get away from what's really working for us.
yeah, I know you have to focus in your world and what you do, and you love doing that stuff. So that works. Chris said, if you're looking to flip the $530,000 lot, are you able to list it before you buy it using equitable interest?
Quick answer, yes. But I make sure the seller knows exactly what's going on. There's a special thing we have to put in our contract, basically, that we can market it, put it on the MLS, and do all these things. But usually that takes a little longer, so we need a longer runway for that to happen. So I'm available for either or. I can buy it, or I can throw it on the MLS with my realtor if the seller's cool with it. And most of the time they are, but sometimes they're like, absolutely not. You need to be the one buying this, or one of your partners if I'm going to sign that contract. So yes, answer's yes, Chris. You can do that with equitable interest.
My big take from Brent being on right now is there's so much to cover, and I could see it like vibing off him about there's so much to cover in land that we can't even get to right now. And I think this is the perfect point where if you want to connect with him, this is where he's going to tell you how to connect with him. He's got a program where he teaches people on land investing, helps so many people out there. Is growing his coaching program so you can scale your business and you can learn more about this, because this is a great topic, especially if you want to pivot in this market. So Brent, I want everybody to know, where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you if they're interested in getting in touch with your coaching program and learning more about this and JVing with you on deals and diving into the land stuff? How can they get in touch with you?
No, definitely thank you, Al, for saying that. And you're right. The problem is there's so many exit strategies with land. There's so many ways you can do it. And like I do a support call every single week with the Land Sharks on Tuesday. And we're sometimes on there 2.5 hours, just hearing wins, sharing wins, celebrating deals. I've got my victory bell. It's too late to be ringing it at my house right now because my wife will be mad. But it's all about wins. And there's just so many exit strategies, so many buy strategies. But to answer the question, you can find me. Obviously, I appreciate you guys putting me my Facebook link and my Instagram link. I really try and answer all messages. But if you want me to hold your hand and show you how to build a land investing business that will serve you, your family, and others, then head on over to thelandsharks.com, fill out the application, schedule a call, and I'd be honored to walk you through this and coach you.
Yeah, and I've actually been in many mastermind sessions with Brent in small groups when he's talked about what he's looking to help do for a lot of people, especially working with the military vets, first responders. Really interesting world that he's in, but he wants to help people scale their land business. So if you're really interested in this, you got a little glimpse of this, and a glimpse of also, if you didn't even know like how to really start finding out where the hot markets were or where they're happening, a great resource. You got to go back to the demo, which is great. So Brent, if I wanted to, we could go like 3-4 hours going over this stuff, but I definitely want to leave it on the high point and the high note on really diving into this and how you literally are just scratching the surface with the opportunities that are out there and what makes you different in the land investing business by being the land shark and knowing where this stuff is and having the integrations and the processes and systems that you showed, like Pebble, and being able to do mailers instantaneously off a lead list after filtering it and knowing how to find the buyers. I think that's a game changer for people. And I think we didn't even have to go through it. That's what makes you different in the land game, right? Just having those integrations and having the knowledge of getting into it. So just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for showing us just even the glimpse into your world, which is totally not my world and totally not a lot of other people's world. So we love diving in on that kind of stuff. So really want to just say thank you for coming on, and we got great questions tonight.
Appreciate it, Al. It's been a good time.
Yeah, man. I'll be seeing you soon. I want to hear more about where you're speaking and where you're going and where you're going to be teaching this stuff, because people really need to know. People need to learn this stuff.
Will do.
All right, man. I'll be seeing you soon.
All right. See you later.
All right.
Have a great night.
So there's no way we could go through a whole 3-hour demo tonight, but I wanted to show you a glimpse into Brent's world of what he knows, what he sees, and the opportunities that are out there for you to be able to see where the hot markets are, the cold markets are, doing a detailed analysis of price points, even if it's a cold market. Right? So a lot of people would just say, nope, we're not going there. Brent's still going there at the right price. So I think that a lot of people that are interested in land, really check him out, check out what he's able to do, check out his videos. He posts a lot of stuff on YouTube and doing stuff on TikTok, but I really wanted to bring Brent on here because land is a hot topic. And I know a lot of you out there like talking about it. I know Teresa, I know the Land Profit Generator group's in it. I know the Land Method group's in it. I was just with Nathan at the mastermind that I just went to. So I wanted to show that to you. I hope that was helpful. I know we went a little fast on it, but it was just enough for you to see. So I took notes. I mean, there's so many things we could probably go through tonight, but I want to take notes, give you a glimpse, and I just want to say thank you for the questions, Nathan. Awesome. Chris is asking a lot of questions. Chris, what market are you in? Like, let us know. We'd love to know what markets everybody's in. And Jill, you definitely want to check them out. In the video, you can find it on the Al Nicoletti Show under YouTube. And then if you're listening right now, and you're on Spotify or iTunes and you didn't get to see the demo, you want to check that out. It'll be on YouTube. So for everybody that wants to find more content like tonight's episode, make sure you check out the Al Nicoletti YouTube channel, the Facebook page under Al Nicoletti, the Instagram at Attorney Nicoletti, and the Al Nicoletti Show, which is on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. You don't want to miss it because we're having amazing guests that keep coming on. And I can't wait for next week's guest, which is Tanya Oliver. I'm going to be seeing her on stage in Houston. So I'm going to get a glimpse before everybody sees about what she's going to cover. And it's mind-blowing when she talks about execution, and it's a different world of mindset for real estate entrepreneurs. So I can't wait for you to all stay tuned. It'll be next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Yes, live. We'll be live. Can't believe it's going to be a wild week. So I will see you all next week on the Al Nicoletti Show. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.